I don't know why we do it, but we always do it because you guys seem to care, right? We talk about the Dallas Cowboys. And I know the Cowboy haters are like, why do you talk about the Cowboys? Like, because people care. And every year we go up there and it's hamster on a wheel. Jerry telling us this is the team. He's got the team. They built the team. He expects the team to win. Check out the latest lines, by the way, of the world of sports from Betterer Sportsbook. Trusted name in online sports betting. Got to be 21. Present in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, or Pennsylvania to play. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I thought this was interesting. Jerry Jones was asked to define what a successful season for the Cowboys is like. Here was his response.
I'll be candid with you. There's degrees. I want to be fair to everybody concerned. We need to be in the playoffs. We need to be viable in the playoffs to be a successful season.
I thought that's fair. We got to be viable in the playoffs. Not a huge ask because there's more teams in the playoffs now than have ever been there before. And it's not like the NFC East is some baton death march, right? It's just not. Here's Jerry when he was asked about Mike McCarthy's job security.
One of the ones I want to address directly, because I guess it's the one that I have the most sensitivity about, and that is Mike and him coaching. I want to be real clear. He wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't think he was the man to lead this team to a Super Bowl. He would not be, and I have choices. So that's not meant to be insensitive to anybody. That's a fact. And so you guys write about a lot of those choices, and they were there for my use had I wanted them. And no, the guy to my right is who I'm convicted about, have been. We certainly have had things we've addressed, the way we've addressed them in the off season. I think have successfully put together a staff that really, from this vantage point, gives us absolutely the best chance with our makeup and our team to get to the ultimate success.
Did you guys see the stat where the Cowboys have been the most penalized team in the league the last 2 years? So he doesn't call offensive plays. He doesn't call defenses. His game management has been widely criticized and called into question. And in terms of being a disciplinarian, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Do you want guys to be aggressive? Absolutely. But there comes a point where you're like, okay, 1 year, fine. 2 years, that's a bit much. We'll see if there's an improvement in year 3. We said it during the season last year. It's going to cost him a big game. It's going to cost him something. These little things you can get away with in some games because you have more talent than the other team. You're in a better place than the other team. Eventually, it comes back to get you. And it did. This is hamster on a wheel with the Cowboys. I mean, like, Dak is good to a point. Like, Mike McCarthy is good to a point. The play calling has been good to a point. Am I wrong? It's like you have a young play caller who now has more experience, but still relatively inexperienced compared to guys doing it 20 years. And they get around the goal line, they get in that red zone, and it gets really, really cute. He's a Boise State guy, man. They get too cute. They're not used to having better dudes than the other guys have dudes. Even his running back, good to a point. So now his linebacker is incredible. I feel like this is hamster on a wheel discussion with the Cowboys. Barring an injury to Dak, they'll be in the playoffs. But I mean, you tell me who are they definably better than in terms of their execution, their coaching, and even their players are good to a point. Micah Parsons, legit, top 5 defensive player in the NFL. I'm okay with that. But you don't win a championship because you have one top 5 defensive player. The line is not what it used to be. And it's not that I don't like Dak. He's good. But Dak's never been in that conversation of Mahomes or Rodgers or Breeze or Brady or whomever. But we got to talk about them Cowboys. Byron, where are you on the Cowboys this year, heading in the season?
I think you have a lot of valid points in what Dallas is, and in reality, there's no more Amari Cooper there. He's in Cleveland. CeeDee Lamb moves up to the number one wide receiver. Your point about the offensive line, another year older. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard's probably the better running back right now in Dallas. However, with all that being said, it is a team that won the division last year. And now, as we've seen in the NFC, and maybe really in all of the NFL, you don't have to be dominant. You just have to be pretty good, pretty darn good. And I think that Dallas is close. I don't think that they're on that Rams, Packers, Buccaneers tier. And so, not to sit on the fence of it, I don't think that there's tons in the NFC, but yeah, there are holes. But I do think that they're good enough to make the playoffs. I just don't know if they're, on that Rams, Packers, Buccaneers tier.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think what happens with the Eagles is going to be really interesting. I don't think they're as good at quarterback, and they obviously don't have the history at coach, but they got a really good football. They got a good football team. Got a really good football team. The Giants still feel like a bit of a mess, right? You feel like year one of a transition, a quarterback they don't really want, a running back they don't really want. That you have a new GM who wants all new pieces. That one doesn't. And then you have Washington where, look, Ron Rivera is a really good coach, and that defense, when healthy, still nasty. If they can just get any sort of offense. And I'm not a huge Carson Wentz guy. If healthy, is an improvement over what they've had. I think that division is super interesting. Kind of intrigued by it, to be candid. Where are you, Jay Stu, on we have to talk about the Cowboys idea, and it does feel on some level like we're a hamster on a wheel.
And that's the fourth time you've used that phrase in this segment. Is that your new catchphrase?
I don't know. Hamster on a wheel?
Yeah.
Maybe that phrase is a hamster on a wheel.
They say that everywhere in Israel? You're just walking down the street?
No, I did 6 a.m. yoga, and that one was, she was talking about you being refreshed and reborn, and if you've been a hamster on a wheel,
okay.
Might be the time to get off the wheel.
I like it.
And it left, it's like when it's like 6:45 and she's doing her thing about betterment, whatever, it kind of, they plant seeds in your brain. That happened to me.
Wow. So you worked on a humble brag too, the 6 a.m. hot yoga as well.
Well, I'm like my body clock's still a bit off. I went to bed at 8:30 last night, so that's not like a humble brag, right? Okay. And was up at 4:30. 4:30. Anyway.
Well, welcome back. I think we need to talk about the Cowboys always, because that's one of our mandates as talk show. We got to have lists. Talk show.
We have to have lists, and there's got to be one bizarre thing on a list, right?
That's true.
Like, let's put Michael Jordan third on the all-time players list. That'll get your attention.
That was not done for a reaction at all.
No, it was done
like
totally for sincere legitimacy there.
I do like watching Mike McCarthy kind of squirm, because I think the reason why Jerry Jones had to address it yesterday was because McCarthy came out, when was it? Monday or Friday? I forget, Dan. When he was, I guess he was asked, like, the first question at camp was about his job security. And he said, it's irritating to find the first question that you've asked me is not how I do at my job. And I'm thinking that's exactly what that question is, how you're doing at your job. Mike McCarthy was squirming all last year when they kept asking him about the end of the game decisions. I think it's interesting theater to see McCarthy squirm. I think he should be a little bit more, non-combative when it comes to these things. But I think it's interesting. Let's talk Cowboys.
There's the other aspect of it that no matter who was available or not available, you would still be talking about Mike McCarthy's coaching decisions and his coaching status. But now that Sean Payton is a free agent, that conversation, it seems to be a little bit more legitimate of a possible replacement, considering how often and for how long Sean Payton and the Cowboys have been connected. So,
yes, Sean Ramos.
Wasn't the problem with McCarthy from what I remember, the problem with McCarthy in Green Bay was his stagnant, right? Where Roger thought his offense was stagnant and they weren't doing anything interesting.
The story was that everybody thought he was lazy.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Which is funny because do you remember the NFL Network piece on him during his year sabbatical, whatever, where he got fired? And they did this thing where, like, every Monday they had all his coaching guys over, and they would watch every game in the NFL. And then, he said he watched every snap of the Cowboys. And then he got the job. And then he was like, yeah, I just got to said that. I didn't really watch every snap. That really happened. These things, right, Buyer? I'm not lying that this really happened.
That could have. I'll confirm it without even not remembering myself. I remember the whole NFL Network piece and getting the coaches around him and Mike Nolan being a piece of that.
It was such a fluff piece, right? And then he was like Mike Nolan. He brought Mike Nolan to be his defensive coordinator. Was a disaster his first year. But
McCarthyism right there.
Right. Which it's funny. Which is funny because a guy who says he watched every game is like, yeah, not really. Is somebody who's, and you don't have a job, you don't have anything else to do, it's kind of lazy, right? So it's like, yeah, I don't know if his offense was seen as stagnant as much as he was not seen as a forward thinker, a changer, or even really a worker. Like one thing that has become very, very obvious about these jobs, okay, is, and you don't have to like to hear it if you're in, if you want to be in La La Land about how, these days you have to limit how much you work, how much you live it. Like these guys, when you talk about grinders, like these dudes live. If you want to be successful in football, you got to live football. Live football. Like Tom Brady's been doing it 23 years. There's not a coverage that you can come up with that he hasn't seen, he doesn't know the answer to. But the ability to continue to evolve, learn new things, but also convey it to all the new pieces. That guy's he's at camp. He's still out there grinding. He's still doing the work. And what have we learned about today, or this week? Kyler Murray hadn't been all in. We heard about Mike Vick. There's been talks about other guys, even coaches. Bruce Arians, you can say he retired all you want. That dude was let go. Why? Hey, it's happy hour somewhere at 5:00. That's not for time. I don't buy that at all. I think this is a league where there is an absolute commitment to, if you want to be successful, you got to be in there working night and day. Yes.